My name is Kai Ryan. I'm Bishop Suffragan of the Episcopal Dioceses of Texas. I urge this committee to set aside Senate Bill 14 for the sake of children, families, and physicians. Our Christian faith teaches that all people are created in the image of God and are beloved children of God. Jesus in the gospel shows respect and love to every person he encounters and calls his followers to love others as he has loved us. Loving our neighbors means all those God creates, complex creatures in stunning diversity. Each person reflects the image of the Creator. The Episcopal Church calls upon all the baptized in Christ Jesus to see Christ in all persons, to strive for justice and peace among all people, and to respect the dignity of every human being. And so we oppose all legislation that strips parents and physicians of their ability to provide appropriate care to minors. Transgendered people, children and adults, are worthy of love and respect, and like all children and adults, must be able to navigate healthcare decisions free of interference. Each person is also vulnerable to challenges in this life and needs the help of parents, pastors, and healthcare professionals to navigate those challenges in ways that allow them to thrive. And Christians especially are called to advocate and act to relieve suffering and to ensure that every person may access appropriate care for their bodies, minds, and spirits. And this bill robs the citizens of Texas of their access to medically appropriate care and demonizes physicians and parents caring for minors. No parent wants the legislature standing between their child and appropriate medical care. And so we stand with our transgender siblings and their parents and doctors, opposing interference to their access to medical and psychological care. Thank you.
Thanks for your testimony. Senator Campbell.
And I'm sorry I didn't catch your name.
Bishop Kai Ryan.
All right, Bishop Ryan. So I should have written it down. If you believe that this bill, you oppose this bill because parents would not be able to make these kind of decisions for their children and doctors would not be able to perform this gender-affirming therapy. Is that right?
I oppose this bill because it interferes with the appropriate conversations between parents, doctors, and children to receive appropriate medical care.
So can you tell me how you would know, or it sounds like you believe the child should have just as much of a part of this decision as the parent and the doctor. Is that true?
Well, of course, children are involved in this conversation.
Well, how can a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, 15-year-old know with full understanding what the surgery, what these pubertal blockers really do? And they are, depends on how long you're on them, can be have permanent changes. How can you support that when a child, once they have more maturation, what are you going to do if that child says, that doctor and my parent didn't know what was best for me, and that child underwent this therapy, and now they have lost some of their reproductive, the function of their reproductive organs?
Well, first of all, I would say that the state allows parents to authorize children to do all sorts of dangerous things, in which many more are harmed every year than are harmed by this kind of care.
So let me stop you there. Well, but there's something that I need to address about that, and we won't get into a lengthy conversation, but you said the state allows every day parents or doctors to do things that are dangerous, and I may have
allows parents to authorize children to do things that are dangerous. For instance, play football, which harms many more children every year than any transgender care does.
Oh.
So I don't think that the issue here is to protect children.
Well, I think the issue here is that to me, and Jesus does love everyone. Everybody doesn't love Jesus, but Jesus does love everyone. And I'm a proponent of the counseling and waiting until the child gets of age to make that decision. What would be your objection to just counseling and not the drugs or the not drugs?
Every trans child has different needs, and in counseling and work with physicians, the appropriate care can be decided. But if the legislature outlaws all of these kinds of care, then there are options that are not available. Of course, the appropriate care for a 6-year-old is very different than the appropriate care for a 16-year-old, and that child has a different level of ability to make a determination.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.